Atlanta Falcons and the Tennessee Titans. This is now a very heavily juiced 2.5 in favor of the Falcons. This is going to go to 3. 35.5 is the total here. And I said a little earlier in this week to not only Steven, but to our friend Brett Colson as well over at the lines that, damn it, here I am, and I'm betting the farm on the Falcons this week in Desmond Ridder, to which they, through the computer, laughed in my face and told me what a moron I was, to which then I brought to their attention, had they been paying attention, that you would know that during the bye week, whenever it was everyone's paying attention to everybody else, not this guy, I'm paying attention to the teams that are still on bye, and a beat writer comes through and said, hey, just wanted to point this out. I know it's a bye week, but Ryan Tannehill is in a friggin' cast up here at the facility right now, and I don't know, casts seem bad. So I was like, Ryan Tannehill ain't playing this game. Like, it just ain't happening for the Falcons. I have a +1 Falcons ticket in my account. I also have a -1 Falcons ticket in my account. I feel really, really good about it because we are getting Will Levis making his NFL debut for the Tennessee Titans. And while I think that Will Levis probably has the physical skill set to be a good NFL quarterback down the line, I do not expect that to come to fruition against what has been, I'm not even going to say surprisingly. I think everybody thought Atlanta's defense had some upside, but it's been a really good defense. Like, it has been a good defense so far this year. And so for me, I really like Atlanta here. One of the other things that is kind of under the radar too, guys, and you can find this if you are looking, if you're stats nerds like we are, and there are a million different places you have to go and find stats, but sumersports.com also has the offensive line continuity ratings and stuff over there. Outside of the Chiefs, the Falcons have had the most snaps with their starting offensive line in the NFL so far this year. And so the Falcons, granted, the offense is not lit up anything, but it helps a guy like Desmond Ridder. It helps whenever you know that your offensive line is going to be out there for every single snap. And for me, that's a kind of an underrated aspect of this Falcons team whenever they're playing bad teams. And this is a bad team in my opinion. And it's not only a bad team in my opinion, I think it's a bad team with a quarterback who might find some real trouble heading into this game. Adam, I see you nodding in agreement here, so I want to give you an opinion to a chance to come in here. So Steven, whenever he tries to defend himself a little bit later, he will have already been beaten up twice in this thing.
I was just kind of having a laugh to myself about our pre-show warning to each other about staying short on certain games. And Matt just gave you like 75 minutes on the Atlanta Falcons, which is not what I expected to hear on this show. But I will say something about Desmond Ridder that I did not expect to say when I was looking at the numbers last week, because those of you who listen regularly will know I came on here and talked about the ADOT for Desmond Ridder in games in which he had to throw the ball down the field a lot. He was a hell of a lot worse than he was in games where he has to throw the ball short. And I think what was revealed to me in looking at that this past week against Tampa Bay is that it's less about game plan and more about game state. And it's more about, if you're going to ask the Falcons to chase, and if you're going to ask Desmond Ridder to try to lead a comeback, that's a lot different than Desmond Ridder within the script of what Arthur Smith would like to do with this offense. And so anything short of a field goal feels like an opportunity here with the Atlanta Falcons because this, and God, I hate having to go essentially against myself, but I'm going to do it here because I asked myself last week, Self, do you need to take another look at some of Desmond Ridder's numbers just to make sure that what you said on the podcast last week made sense? And I said, Self, let's do it. Let's go take another look at Desmond Ridder. And so I went and I did my usual sorting it out by getting the garbage time out. And then I went and looked at just the past 3 weeks when it came to Desmond Ridder. Like, we're talking about a guy who's all but a rookie, and how has he settled in and what has it looked like over that course of time. And I was fairly shocked with what I found, because I found that Desmond Ridder had been a lot better than I thought he had by the advanced metrics. So I'm looking at weeks 5, 6, and 7. So the half the season is a small sample in the first place, and there's an even smaller sample than that. But if you go with one of Steven's favorites, EPA plus CPOE composite, Desmond Ridder's the number 6 quarterback in the NFL over the last 3 weeks. Better than Kirk Cousins, better than Joe Burrow, better than Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford, and a lot of guys who we think are pretty damn good quarterbacks. And so I think you can approach that game the way that Matt is. I think you can go ahead and take Atlanta if you want to take Atlanta. The other piece of this equation is if Will Levis is truly going to be the starter in this game, he had no preseason. He has 1 week of prep because they were on bye. Nobody was at the facility. Will Levis has had 1 week of opportunity to get used to the NFL. And the team total right now is sitting at 16.5 for the Tennessee Titans against what Matt just told you is a pretty good Falcons defense. It's going to be able to put some pressure on. If you don't want to trust Desmond Ridder on the road, I get that. But this, even though it sets up for a classic Wong teaser, man, there is just so much variance with what this Tennessee offense could be that I can't get myself there. So I think the safer play is probably Tennessee under 16.5.
Yeah, super wide range of outcomes in all of this. I mean, like, Stevens, typically you would look at Tennessee and you would say, like, oh, it's easy. You ease Will Levis in because you just run Derrick Henry and you got Tajay Sharp or whatever. And then you look and it's like, oh, never mind. It's the number 1 rush defense EPA in the NFL that he's going up against, the number 6 rush defense and success rate that he's going up against, the 5th overall DVOA rush defense. So Will Levis is going to have to throw the ball. And like I said, I think long-term, Will Levis might be all right. I don't think it manifests here in his first NFL start with, as Adam mentioned, very limited amount of actual reps, even from in NFL practices and scrimmages and things and stuff like that. So love the Falcons this week.
I think we're spending some extra time here on the Falcons appropriately. I think this week is an inflection point on maybe the last stop before the prices get expensive on them for futures and whatnot. There's still plus money, about even money to win the division, and I have zero confidence in the other 3 teams in the NFC South to win the division, especially with the schedule the Falcons have ahead of them right now. And after you went full Wrath of Khan, Matt, and fired everything against the Titans this week, I said, well, maybe I better do a little bit more digging on this. And I found a lot of stuff you guys mentioned. I'll also mention, I think the Falcons might be sitting on a big one here because they were fairly unlucky to only win that game by 3 points against the Bucs last week. They had 6.3 yards per play and went just 1 of 5 in the red zone against Tampa Bay, and one of those fluky fumbles at the goal line that didn't go their way. And the matchups here against the defense look really good as long as the fallacy of rational coaching doesn't kick in and Art Smith actually lets Ridder throw the ball a little bit, because the Tennessee defense is really good at stopping the run, and the Falcons are top 5 in the NFL coming into this game, not only in rush rate, but first down rush rate. So I am hoping and praying that Art Smith gets off of that a little bit based on the matchup he has in front of him. But if you believe they're going to win this game, and with the schedule they have in front of them and all of those metrics Adam said about Desmond Ridder for optimism, maybe you should also be looking at Art Smith 20-1 to win Coach of the Year at this point, because if all of the preseason favorites are going to be around the top of the conference come the end of the year, which is what it kind of looks like right now, then the big improvement coach that makes a big step and wins their division is maybe Art Smith at 20-1. Unless Robert Saleh makes the playoffs without Aaron Rodgers, then he would maybe be a prime contender as well. But the price is right on old Art.
And Adam, just a spinoff of our sister site podcast that you and I do, not listed on the injury report is not listed as Bijan Robinson this week at all.
Is he not?
So yeah. So
how interesting.
You can assure he is going to play a full complement of snaps in this, because after the NFL came knocking on the door, wondering why he didn't play, even though he wasn't on the injury report, they do not have him listed at all on the injury report this week. We are going to see Bijan Robinson and a healthy dose of Bijan Robinson this week. I can assure everybody of that, so don't worry about it. Start him with confidence in your fantasy leagues, because they ain't messing around with that yet again.